Okay, you're all set.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Newington Permanent Municipal Building Committee. It is July 16th, 2026. It is just a minute after 6 o'clock. Lauren, will you do the roll call for us, please?
Sure. We'll do the roll call of the permanent membership first. Chairman Woods,
Yep.
Raul Abraham,
Here.
Joe Harpy,
Here.
Peter Menke,
Here.
and Stanley Sobieski. I see Stanley. I'm not sure if the mic's not working.
Yeah, Stanley, your mic's not working, but he's here.
Yep. The Chapman Street Facility membership, Don Brown.
Here.
And Christopher Ferry is not in attendance tonight.
Okay.
But that is your quorum.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a quorum. We will move forward. Next
Lauren,
item
it looks like Chris is on
Well,
as attendee. Yep.
I'm seeing he's going in and out of the attendees.
Okay.
So if he gets back, I'll put him in.
Okay.
And I'm here as well. I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, hi, Joe. Next item is public participation. Lauren, have anybody?
There is one attendee online that is a phone number. I'm not sure if they would like to speak. If you would like to give public comment, please raise your hand. Nope.
No? Okay, we're gonna approve the prior meeting minutes. I believe we have one, which is, let's see, flip my page, the meeting of June 4th.
I move we accept the meeting minutes.
Thank you. That was it Don or Peter?
Peter.
Peter. Thank you,
I'll
Peter.
second it.
Thank you, Don. Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item is new business. Discuss Chapman Street assessment with TLB Architecture. I believe Mike is with us from TLB. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Steve. Chris is also here and Raya from TLB. So,
Oh yeah, I see Chris now.
Yeah. So Chris will walk us through the conditions assessment we went through last time hasn't really changed. So we're happy to talk about it, but, what Chris will walk you through today are some of the, options on how to divvy up the space for storage. And then we have some preliminary budget numbers we can look at so you get a sense of what it costs to put the building back together, not necessarily the fit out, till we know which direction you want to go, but the envelope work and the preservation work, we have some numbers for. So you want to take it from there, Chris? You're muted.
All right, thanks. I'm allowed to share my screen, correct?
You should be able to.
All right, I'll go for it there. Okay. Well, I know there's a lot of members that are here today that weren't on some of our last meetings. So quickly, we've got our preparations ready for our assessment report. Currently, what you see here is all the architectural components. It's about 50 or so pages of just, items noted and deficiencies, etc. We've got other packages to put in here with our consultants. So we will have, let me go back one page here. We will have a structural assessment report that you see here. We'll have a mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection assessment report, a site and civil assessment report, a hazardous materials report. We'll include today's preliminary cost estimate in there. We'll have a conceptual design section, and we'll provide some historical data that we've able to obtain, which I'm sure the town has already has, but we can include that at the very end of that. So that's sort of the contents of the report. So I won't go into the details of that. Everyone knows the building and what such disrepair that it is, and the restoration that will need to take effect from a historical standpoint in the Connecticut State Preservation Office requirements for that. So, is there any questions before I go on to anything else?
Anybody have any questions?
I just
For
had a
Chris?
quick one, Steve.
Mhm.
Yep, go ahead.
Are you gonna approach this initially from the business envelope, or those steps will be just followed from your report?
Yeah, I think currently we're contracted just to provide us an assessment report and study, and then a next phase will sort of detail what needs to be done, with drawings and specifications for a contractor to bid on.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So, okay. So, basically, first thing to do is to, as we've said previously, is to preserve the asset. So the building, is the asset. What you do inside is for a later discussion. But what we'll need to do is do all the necessary repairs to make that happen. To get it watertight, and historically accurate as well. So, a lot of the components that, for example, that we talk about are, you know, here's an example just real quick. The old sign that was here, the original doors and windows, etc. The brick needs to be repaired, some of it. All the masonry needs to be repointed. That's a major component in cost. All the chimneys need to be repointed and redone. There's just plenty of items you'll see here, and you'll get that once the report is compiled and sent out. So just, a couple of little things here and there. So what I wanted to share, so what we have here is a rough order of magnitude of cost on just sort of the refurbishment or restoration of the building. So, I can kind of go through this a little bit here. We've got a sort of a civil section where, we'll just take a look around the site, any investigations of any of the piping, see if there's any, root blockages or anything, so that's just sort of a lump sum sort of allowance on what would need to be done. Also, maybe a new concrete apron, new paving for the driveway, some lawn work, etc. So that's sort of, we've sort of allocated $30,000 for that effort. Hazmat abatement, there are some hazardous materials that were specified in the hazmat report. The 9x9 tiles and some of the mastic. The TSI is thermal insulation, so some of the insulation has asbestos wrapping on it. Some caulking, some lead paint, and there's some PCBs, at the flashings and some chimneys and, at the gutter and the light ballast and stuff and things like that. So we've allocated about $60,000 as an allowance for that. I know, Mike, you said lead paint doesn't necessarily need to be removed as part of,
Well, it gets removed. It's more of a lead paint awareness spec, not
Right,
a full
right.
abatement spec.
Mhm.
The levels were not to a level where you'd have to abate it all.
Right.
But the workers just need to be aware it's there and take precautions
Mhm.
and collect all the dust and chips.
All right, thanks. From a structural standpoint, we've got a steel framing issue on the inside of the building that just needs to, there's a steel beam, but it's being supported by wood framing below it. So we're just, that point of it is to, instead of the wood framing supporting a steel beam, it's going to be steel posts to take care of that. There'll be some slab repair and some flat roof and parapet repair is sort of some of the structural things on the exterior and interior that we'll have to do. New sheathing up above. There's daylight poking through, so make sure anything that's water damaged, once the demo happens, we'll repair with new sheathing, etc. And the parapet will be sort of reconstructed as needed. So we've got a $37,500 allowance for that. Any questions on the first page for site, structural, or hazmat? Okay.
The just
Oh,
one
good.
more thing on civil, Chris.
Sure.
The drainage and site
Mhm.
work component also includes right now. earth has been sort of raised around the perimeter of the building, so it's above the bottom of the brick.
Right.
And so we want to get that down so that we're not soaking water and snow melt up into the
Mhm.
brick. So there'll be a a swale basically
Mhm.
around the perimeter of the building so water doesn't sit against the brick.
Mhm.
I did have one question if I could before we move on the
Sure,
lead
Joe.
awareness and abatement. In your experience, does the volume that you're seeing, is it just cost prohibitive? Does it behoove us just to get rid of it instead of just um, taking the lower road, or I guess the lighter precautions for us being a municipality? Should this building be turned into something else in the future? Should we just have it abated or get an alternate ad to abate it all now, Mike? Or is it just really
Um,
that little?
it will be removed. It just doesn't need to be removed as hazardous waste. So, you're still scraping and removing the paint, loose paint. Um, but it doesn't need to go to a landfill as a hazardous material.
Mhm.
It
All right,
just
so you're
needs to
not
be,
okay. You're not encapsulating areas. You're still removing it.
Right.
no, we're not suggesting that we're going to strip that wood down to bare wood.
Mhm.
But whatever does come off will get captured and thrown away as regular waste, not hazardous waste,
Mhm.
which
Understood. Okay.
is
Thank you
which
for
is
the clarity.
perfectly it's pretty normal. It's
Mhm.
pretty rare that we get into a full lead abatement on a small building like this.
Mhm.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, most of the lead that was in that paint fell off years ago.
Right. That's true. Okay. All right, go to second page. Architectural components. It's the major, obviously, it's the whole envelope of the whole building, roofing, mortar replacement of all the brick, overhead door replacements, historic exterior doors and hardware restoration, window restoration, all the damaged wood, wood replacement, um, plaster ceiling repairs. The South Bay gable roof needs new shingles and step flashing, and the North Bay flat roof needs a new membrane, and the substrate and the parapet repair, as you say. And the cupola is in decent shape, but there is some allowance for that to, come back to prominence, so to speak. So those are sort of our numbers for that. And that puts us at about $175,000 for architectural, component restoration.
First, can I just make a comment on the EPDM?
Mhm.
Is that, do you guys see that as a normal rate that you see on your projects for municipal projects? I can comment that on the state side, it's
Mhm.
more like 40, 45 that we are seeing right now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean the state numbers are elevated because of
mhm.
some of the FM requirements.
Yeah.
Um, so this is a code compliant roof, but it's not necessarily up to FM's recommendations of basically 2.5 times code.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Mike, for that clarification.
Mhm.
Yep.
Thanks. So, from a plumbing and fire protection standpoint, the building will need to be fully sprinklered as it's going to be reused. So that fire protection component there is about a $40,000 add for that. Any underslab plumbing for the new toilet room. So as part of this restoration, regardless of how it's laid out interior wise, we are planning to put an ADA toilet room in the building. So this is just the underslab plumbing as needed for that. So about a $50,000 plumbing component for this restoration here.
On the
Yeah, go ahead,
sorry,
Mike.
Chris, on the sprinkler system,
Mhm.
there's probably a code path where you're not going to be required to do that.
Mhm.
But that 40,000 might be short money in terms of your insurance policy.
Mhm.
So there's probably a pretty quick payback on that if you have sprinklers, which the cost of $20 a square foot is a little higher than a wet system because we're anticipating putting in a dry system because it's cold storage.
Mhm.
If one of those unit heaters drops out, you're going to have a big problem. So it's a dry system, which costs more than a wet system.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike. Mechanically, there's an inline fan damper on the southern wall of the building. we've got a replacement for that and other miscellaneous mechanical work, most likely part of the demo of getting all the existing equipment, demo equipment, ductwork, et cetera. The boiler room in the back getting removed. And then we've got 2 gas-fired unit heaters and piping. There's one in there now, probably set for replacement with just doing both. We got those for about a $20,000 mechanical component for that.
And the one that's in there now is relatively new,
Mhm.
but it's a standalone. So if you want to have these things kind of talk to each other,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
then you'd replace them both. So that's kind of a design phase approach, but all of these
Mhm.
numbers take the conservative approach until,
Mhm.
you fine tune it during design.
Right. Thanks. Any questions on this page in terms of architectural and mechanical and plumbing?
Anyone? No, move on,
All right.
Chris.
Okay, great. Electrical obviously is another component. And basically the existing electrical system in the entire building is completely outdated, and it needs a whole new system, which includes, any panel boards, switchboards, new light fixtures, control devices, circuits, fire alarm equipment, wiring, everything, receptacles, et cetera. So that's going to, put us at about a $40,000 cost there to
Yeah.
upgrade or
So there,
to currently put the electrical up to code at least.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the electrical service to the building and the panel are new. So depending on the fit out, it's only 100 amp service, which
Right.
is probably enough for storage if we do the gas fired unit heaters. But
Mhm.
everything from that panel, um,
Mhm.
we're anticipating being new distribution, new lighting, new power. Um,
Mhm.
there might be some components that you might be able to sell, but we've assumed pulling everything back to the panel and refeeding all
Mhm.
the new devices.
Yeah. And we, now that we're talking about this, I think, adding another component for security probably would add another, maybe 10,000 for security
Yeah.
components. So,
And it may be depending on how you divvy up the tenants, you might want a sub panel in the second tenant space so
mhm.
that they have control over that. But again, I think the 40,000 will cover whatever you decide to do.
Mhm.
And does that number cover, at the very least, an interlock switch for a generator? If we're not going to put one in, which I don't think we've accounted for up to this or had a conversation about, but I wouldn't mind having at the very least, like I said, the
Mhm.
ability to
Yeah,
plug in the generator.
I think we could fit a transfer switch into that number. Not
Mhm.
the generator itself, but a transfer switch.
That's
All right.
fine.
Yep.
We can use it. We can use a portable for a building that size.
Yep.
Okay.
And Mike, does that number also include the demo of existing wiring or electrical?
Yep.
Thank you.
And then, obviously with all those costs included, we're about 410,000 with oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Okay. Yeah, and then, obviously all the other markups required by insurance and contractor general requirements, et cetera, puts us close to 500,000 with the 475. So you're looking at a $500,000 for restoration.
And those are contractors' costs. On top of that, you'll have A&E
Mhm.
costs,
Right.
bonding costs, whatever to build up the project cost.
Mhm.
Which in the report, if you want us to include a fully loaded number, we can do that. So you can see project cost versus construction, if that's helpful.
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
Can we back up to the architectural section again
Sure.
for a moment?
Mhm.
The historic plaster ceiling repair. You're talking inside the building, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't understand why the inside has to be historically. I thought the whole point was that the outside of the structure needed to remain appearing true to its period. But the inside, we have to worry about that too?
Not necessarily. I think
Mhm.
the terminology historic plaster is the thing, not how we're doing it. What this is a repair of the plaster ceiling, not tear it all down and do sheetrock.
Mhm.
So, we're not going to go in there with a lime plaster and a milk paint if that's, what you're thinking. It'll just be repair it
Right.
so it's intact.
Okay, so that's really just repairing of the existing
Yeah.
plaster ceiling.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
Yeah,
thank
I
Yep.
mean,
you.
there is plaster on the original building, which is the South Bay with the gable. There
Yep.
is, some walls that are, it looks like there's lath over the masonry. So,
Yeah.
some
So,
of that.
if you have a conversation with Shippo, they're going to consider all of that original plaster historic.
Mhm.
The good news here is it's Portland cement based plaster. It's not a lime plaster,
Mhm.
so it's nothing special to restore. But for $15 a square foot, it's repair what's there, not take it all down and do
Mhm.
sheetrock.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Sure. Okay. Any questions on the estimate?
A couple questions, actually, Joe Salomon, you might be able
Okay.
to answer this.
Mhm.
I'm going to do some assumptions here, but let's say, assume that the company for referendum passes and we go ahead and start demolition and construction on that. Isn't there a generator there? Could we move that generator from company four to Chapman Street?
I'm not familiar with the condition of that generator, Steve.
Okay.
Is that an option? It could very well could be. I would imagine that what is there is oversized for this building,
Mhm.
but I don't hate that idea. I'm happy to repurpose what we can. I just don't know the condition of it.
Okay. Yeah, if you could look into it and just let us know at some point.
Yeah. You also
Um,
have to check the fuel source. If it's a
Mhm.
belly tank, that's fine. But if it's, connected to gas, I'm not.
I believe it's gas, but one of the gentlemen from the fire department may be able to answer that better than I.
Don, do you know by any chance?
I believe it is gas.
I, thank you, Chris. I also believe it's gas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we just have to check the pressure.
Okay. And then, Mike, this question is for you. I sent you that information on the show knocks for
Yep.
the floor. That
Yep.
is something you think you could utilize or didn't work for you?
Yeah, I think it's an option. The condition of that floor, we'd have to do a fair amount of patchwork to give a solid floor.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that's a good product. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's
So
Okay.
pretty.
I mean, I'll go through, Anna Reynolds and I'll show you the conditions of the slab that we had there and what we did for patching. So you can see, um,
Mhm.
how bad or actually deplorable that floor was. So,
yeah,
and it's held up
Right.
perfect so far. We've
Right.
not had any issues at all. Although
yeah,
it's more than,
yeah,
not as quite as bad as that middle picture you're showing me right now.
yeah. So there's areas like that you need to
Yeah.
chip out and repair.
Yeah.
Cracks and low spots you can level off with some levelastic and or some kind of a liquid cement
Yeah.
Right.
wash coat and clean it up. So
Right. Yep.
I think, there's a lot of details to figure out. The biggest problem you're going to have in this building, which I don't know if you had on the rental place, is vapor drive. There's probably no vapor barrier under here,
Mhm.
and vapor drive is what kills floors. So um,
Yeah. We had
there
no vapor
are,
drive on the school because it was built in the 50s. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So there are some coatings you can put on there
Yeah.
to control that, and so that whole cocktail needs to be figured out in details.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then my last question actually goes to John. John, what do we have a firm budget yet for this? Do we know?
Yeah, I was just looking it up, so, and I want to say that between this year and last year, Lauren, 450, does that number right?
The number I
Yeah.
heard was 350
It
initially.
was 350 for this year, but we had 100, I think, last year.
Oh, you added 100, okay.
Yeah,
That's right.
but then it's net of the
Right.
TBLA cost too. So I think
That
we
sounds
may be,
about where you were, Jonathan, yeah,
I think we may be a little short, but we're certainly in the ballpark.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a
these,
little bit,
like I
it's
said,
just
these are
slightly less.
conservative.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lauren, did you want to add to anything on that?
No, I just was saying it is slightly less than that 450 number. It's
Okay,
not quite 450.
yeah,
Okay, so it's 450 less TLB and whatever other expenses you've had applied to this line item, to this account, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
something like that, yeah.
It's not a 500,000 that we anticipate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Never
I guess,
is,
Mike,
right?
I'll go back to you for, and then my next question is, um, I mean, I'd like to see us start moving forward with this. So when can we get some documents that, we can get out on the street and start, the roof, the masonry repairs, and again, we can leave the inside to last.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get the envelope sealed and weather tight again.
Yeah, so we'll wrap up this report, in the next couple of days, and then
Yep.
the next process, if I don't know, Joe, if you're going to run this through the on-call, we can get a proposal in front of you pretty quickly, and we're happy to get started right away. I think the restoration documents would probably take maybe a month and a half tops to get out to bid. Um, so because we've got all the base drawings done already, so um, that'll accelerate it. So,
Yes,
Okay.
we would continue to use the on-call numbers.
okay,
Yeah, so if you can get that over to Jonathan and Joe,
sure.
so we can
Yeah.
try to keep this ship moving forward.
Yep.
And I guess it's just the fact that I would suspect when we go out to bid, I mean, if these numbers are accurate, we still will be short of what we have. So there needs to be some kind of supplemental or some
Right.
transfer to contingency. So I do kind of want to run this one up the flagpole quickly with council leadership about their thoughts about moving money around before we get too far ahead of ourselves in case very likely, I'm guessing, more likely than not, the bid number will be somewhat over what we have in the kitty.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
with drawings and documents to go out to bid, we don't run a risk of anything by going out to bid and getting a hard number, depending on when we go out to bid and what everybody's contractors' workloads are and that time of year. I mean, yes, I trust TLB and their numbers but they are budget numbers. So, we've all have seen numbers far exceed budgets, and we've seen them come under as well. So we could have a hard number. Contractor has to hold it for whatever we say, 90, 60, 120 days, whatever the case may be. Whether we utilize it or move forward from that point is still a town decision, but at least we'd have a hard number.
No, that's true. Yeah. So we have time to get that money moved around to the extent that we.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Joe.
Absolutely
And,
would. You absolutely would.
and if you can, once you finish this report that you showed us tonight, get that out to the committee through the manager's office. We all can sit down and digest it a little bit, and then maybe come up with some either add alternates, deduct alternates, or value engineering stuff that we could probably do at a later date if we had to.
Well, is that a question for TBLA? Like, are there any, to you guys, any low hanging fruits of alt ads that don't materially, undermine the structural integrity of the building?
Yeah, I mean the couple that jump off the page are the sprinkler system. That's essentially a business decision for you. And then the overhead doors, we've got a pretty good number in there to replace them with a more historically accurate door, but that's not going to be required because the original doors are already gone, so they're not going to make you do that. So I forget what that number was, 20 something
It's
thousand.
40,000,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
20 a
Geez,
door.
yeah, 20 a
Yeah.
door, right?
Yeah, that was a pretty fat number, but
Yeah,
again, you
but
start doing
that's
those special
yeah,
doors, you
right.
probably could
Right.
eat that up.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
The fire system, fire suppression system, because all that pipe's going to be exposed anyways, correct? So it's definitely something, if we had to, we could postpone until a later date.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, you could
again,
do that
that's
as part of a fit out later. Yeah.
right.
And there's a few things. The underground under slab plumbing, that whole plumbing number can go away.
Right.
You could do that with the build out later. And then there's going to be some, a lot of sort of decision points along the way that may impact cost either way. You might decide to do more, although the envelope is the envelope. There's not much more you can do. So I think, you know, once we get into it, we start getting into the details, we'll come back to you with, you know, all of these decision points to make, in the context of numbers, and the numbers will get fine tuned as we go too, as we get more detail.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, all right.
Steve,
Well,
Steve, I
thank
just
you.
had a question of the architect.
Yep, go ahead, Joe.
Would you anticipate multiple bids, or would you think there'd be one type company that would be able to fill in these requirements or needs?
yeah,
On your experience on that.
I would put it out to bid to a general contractor and sign one contract.
Yeah, I would agree
Um,
with that. That's
If
the
you
route we
try
want to
and
go.
parse it out, it's going to be really hard to manage.
Yeah,
Do a
I
GC.
agree. Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Otherwise, we're going to put Joe under a tremendous strain trying to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not big enough to go to a construction manager.
Yeah, it is not.
Right.
And it's too big to, you know,
Yeah,
bring in a mason and
Parse
bring in a
out.
carpenter and bring in a painter.
Yeah.
well, that's why I asked the question. I thought that would be the answer.
Yep.
that we
Yep.
looked to do.
Any other questions of Mike or Chris?
I had one quick question. Did we talk
Sure.
about at one point taking that cinder block, whatever it was, the furnace room off the building?
Yes.
Is that part of that? Did I miss it?
Yeah, that's part of it. Doesn't have its own line item, but it's part of the historic restoration of the masonry. We
Okay.
could pull that off and repoint behind it.
Yeah, that goes away, Chris.
Okay. I just didn't hear him say that. I just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
Yeah, it's in the report as well to, you know, recommendation is to remove that boiler room completely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Did we mention a toilet or not?
Yes.
Yeah. Chris,
Yeah.
you want to show the
Yeah.
plan options?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously after the, you know, protecting the asset, restoring the asset, then it comes to the point of how do you fit this out? And, you know, we've come up with a couple of plans here, just, you know, right now we've got, you know, the version on the left here is a single tenant or a single use for, you know, one group. But we put the toilet room sort of back where it was, in that case, but it's a ADA. We also created, you know, at least a sidewalk or walkway, you know, anticipating, you know, some type of, you know, path, at least to that part of the building in the back. There's a, you know, a 2-tenant version where, you know, whatever side gets what side, and then we still have a toilet room with a common vestibule. So, you know, you can enter tenant, you know, tenant 2 enters this door or back here into this room with this door, and then tenant 1 would enter, you know, through the back door into this other door. So creating a vestibule that share the toilet as a common space to share. So, you know,
Chris, can you just blow that up so we can see the square footage that you have there?
Oh,
that
sure. I'm
everyone
sorry.
understands it? Yeah,
Yeah. Let
it's
me
not very big.
No. Where's
Sometimes when you look at these plans, it's very
Yeah, I'm
deceiving.
trying to
They
find
look
my,
much bigger.
There we go. Here we go. Yeah. So we're
Yeah, there
talking,
you
you
go.
know,
Yeah.
it's the whole building is a, you know,
Under
2,000,
2,000.
yeah, under 2,000 square feet. So,
Okay.
that just puts us sort of right about there with that gross, from perimeter is about 2,000 square feet. So you got a 48 square foot toilet room and a 1,700 square foot tenant space for a single use. Double use, you know, obviously you've got to share a common corridor. So that sort of, you know, not really usable space. So that cuts it down to about 800 a piece.
Mhm.
You know, so I think I've got a couple others that were just, you know, for example, there's, you know, completely separating front and back with a common vestibule in the middle for a toilet room. That's still 2 tenants. And then this
That
one is,
one, the
yeah,
second tenant does not have overhead door access, so that would be small stuff only.
correct. Yep. And then, you know, there's another one where the back half it's, you know, back half is just a small space for a tenant, and the rest of it becomes to the other tenant. So, you know, there's plenty
We're
of
using
ways.
the word tenant lightly. We know it's all town. But
Right. So, you know, there's plenty of ways that you can divide it many ways, but you know, I think you know, I don't know how many groups are going to be selected to use the space. So right now we're just thinking one to two. So
Yeah, I don't think you can get many more in there.
mhm, mhm,
Steve?
Yeah, if you do more, it starts to be like those,
Yeah,
storage places
yeah.
that pop up, with a
right,
bunch
right.
of little doors.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Does
Steve,
it matter from a cost standpoint? Like which, are they equivalent, exactly the same costs?
No, I mean the more partitions you do, the more cost. So the
Right.
the least expensive is the single tenant.
For here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
more expensive is the one
And
on the
what,
on the right, and then the
Mhm.
two on the bottom are a little bit more because you're just building more partitions.
Right.
But we're
and what's
talking
that cost?
about interior fit out costs of something on the order of, depending on the option, between $200 and $300 a square foot. Um,
Mhm.
so it's not, the
So
building's small. It's not going to kill you
Yeah.
two
either
to
way.
300 times 2,000?
Yeah.
Okay. But regardless, those costs are reflected in the cost estimates that you showed us.
Those are not. The interior fit out costs are not in that.
Oh, okay. I missed
Mhm.
that.
No,
That's a big,
no,
that's a big,
the estimate we just showed you was the
just
envelope
the
repair.
envelope.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean, these are just the basics. For example, electrical, like the lighting is sort of like the bare minimum, and then if you have to fit something out,
Yeah.
we don't anticipate putting ceilings in these spaces. It's just going to be open. If it's just a general storage sort of as it is now, just nothing, nothing really additional except what's needed, sort of per code for, okay, well, you need, this many foot candles in here, and this is how many light fixtures, and if it's just LED tubes, that's what it is, so
And some of
Well,
this cost could be deferred to the interior fit out to reduce
correct,
the initial cost.
right,
We tried to make the building safe even if you're not occupying it. So we've got light fixtures and sprinklers in phase one. Those could go to phase two.
right,
yeah.
Um,
But let me just make sure I have the fit out cost right. You said $200 to $300 per square foot times 2,000.
yeah,
So even assuming we're on the light end of that, 2,000 times 200,000, sorry,
400,000.
200, it's 400,000 extra
Yeah. And
beyond.
that's
that's probably
probably
high.
overshot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of that's already in the phase one estimate. So we'll,
Mhm.
we'll include in the report that we send you next week numbers
Mhm.
on this portion as well,
Okay.
just so
Mhm.
you have
Thank
a
you.
order of magnitude.
Right.
It
Steve?
won't be 400,000 to build this out.
Okay.
The
No,
money's going to be in the floor
right,
and some of the partition work
and
and
some
the toilet room.
doors and the security
So
if you have to divide it up,
so what we're looking at now, I think it's that upper left-hand drawing, which is basically what's there now. The bathroom,
right,
I think, has been moved around. That's basically what we're going to end up with. Um, Inside of the
right,
walls will be painted, right? The ceilings will be repaired, but
mhm,
no structural changes, no fill-ins on any of those walls. It's just going to be basically the same space we have cleaned up
yep,
with the new electrical
right,
system, some new lighting. That's
mhm,
that's all we're looking at on the inside
mhm,
right now.
yep,
mhm,
yep.
And the
The
bathroom, we're gonna rough in
right, new
plumbing
mechanical,
possibly,
yep,
but no bathroom. It's all we'll do is the underground piping for now in
right,
phase one.
mhm,
yeah, get
Yeah.
out of the slab, right?
Yeah.
yep,
Okay. All right.
yes,
Steve,
Yes.
if I could just, um, and this is probably a discussion for another day, but just, you know, to start with, given the size of that building, I don't think it makes sense to subdivide it into multiple tenants. I just think we lose more square footage of usable space by
mhm,
doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, you lose if you go to two, the one on the right,
right,
you'll
Mhm.
lose 111 square feet of storage.
Right.
right,
That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to me to do it that
Yeah.
way.
Because of the vestibule.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm, mhm,
Okay. Well, again, we can have those discussions as we move down, but again, usage is really back to Jonathan and Joe. They're gonna decide who's in there.
Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
we'll know for sure when we get the bids, right?
That's true.
mhm,
Yeah, and one of the things that you might consider to capture some economy of scale is if you are going to leave essentially the single tenant, um, to include as an alternate in the project the floor and finishing the interior. Because it's
Mhm.
not going to be, then you're not paying for second mobilization, a second set of dumpsters and toilets and, or porta potties for the contractor. You might get that at a pretty good rate as a tack onto the envelope project, as opposed to a standalone project.
I agree
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah, and then it's an alternate. You could accept it or not, but you'll
Mhm.
have the documents done.
Yeah.
So you could always build that out later, and you won't have to,
Right.
have a new design phase. And so, because if
Okay.
you're going to do that, it's not a heavy lift to get that cleaned up.
Mhm.
All right, that sounds good. Anybody else have any questions before we move on? Okay, Mike, thank you. Chris, thank you for the presentation.
Sure thing.
Obviously, very helpful.
Yeah, it's pretty much all we had to
Yeah,
show
we'd all like
today.
to see it less money, but we know today that, money doesn't go very far, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of general contractors that won't get out of bed for $500,000.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
But I think this will attract a few though. There's a bunch of
Oh yeah,
medium-sized guys out there that,
yeah,
this is their
It's right
key.
here.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is
It's
kind of
just
their
going to be
sweet
in a lot
spot.
of people's strike zone. Yep,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
for sure.
that's for sure. Okay. All right, I'm going to
Right.
move on then, unless there's another question for Mike or Chris.
I just had a quick
Seeing
question,
none.
if I could.
Yep. Go
Uh,
ahead, Joe.
Based on your experience, Mike, what would you say would be the timeline of getting the work that we just discussed done? In terms of months or?
It's probably a 4-month construction period. The challenge is going to be when that period starts, because a
Right.
lot of this work's going to be temperature sensitive.
Okay.
So either you got to go quickly and get it done in the fall, or take a beat and do it in the spring. If you try and
Right.
do it in the winter, you're going to pay a hefty premium and get a lower quality result.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be nice to do it this fall, but I think that might be a stretch. By the time we get everything ready, get it out to bid, award a contract, I think we're really realistically looking at springtime.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And that'll give
And
them time to, if you sign the contract in the winter, you do all your submittals, you do your procurement, you get all your ducks in a row and hit it hard in March.
Yeah, and you hit the street early, usually, you do get some
Mhm.
favorable bidding.
Yep. Yeah, they like to lock stuff in.
Much
Yeah.
better going out to bid in March than May.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, all right, Joe. All right, so we're gonna move on. Is there any other business pertinent to the commission?
No, I think the
No.
town manager was close on the 350 and then whatever else he was talking about in reserve. And then whatever he and the council, I guess, decide on. Bottom line, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody else? We're gonna move on to public participation, which I don't think we have anyone. Let's see. No, nobody. Back to comments by members, anybody? We're talked out, I think. Mike, again, thank you. And Chris,
Okay.
thank you for the presentation.
You're
We look
welcome.
forward to the next rounds.
All right.
Um,
Great. Thanks, everyone.
And
All
yeah,
right.
and Jonathan, and Lauren, you'll schedule the next meeting and get back to us with a date.
Yep.
Lauren, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So
Okay.
motion to
Have a
adjourn?
good night.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Someone?
So
Thank you.
moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Night.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah.
My wife is voting on this meeting, so she voted in favor of adjourning.
It's the boss, right?
Yeah. All right, good night, everybody.